Okay. Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, November 10th, and my name is Shonda Harris. I am a business opportunity specialist with the U.S. Small Business Administration, and I would like to welcome you to today's webinar, Doing Business with the Army Corps of Engineers. Today's webinar is part of a series that's leading up to our Ohio Business Matchmaker event. The Ohio Business Matchmaker is our signature contracting event that we do here in Central Ohio. And we've been doing for the past 13 to 15 years or so. And some of you that are on today's webinar or that may be listening by recording, this may be your first opportunity finding out about the matchmaker or first time participating. So the Matchmaker event is an opportunity that we put on that allows small businesses like yourself to find out how to do business with government agencies. And that is at the federal level, state level, city, county, municipalities. Also, we do provide small businesses an opportunity to find out how to get involved with some colleges and universities. So we recognize that as small businesses, as you are getting your business up and running, you may be doing business in the private sector, commercially, and maybe you've been doing business for a couple of years and you have been doing well and you've been increasing your customer and client base, and then you want to take your business to the next level and you want to find out if there are any opportunities for what you do, the products or services that you sell, and you want to see if a government agency or a government entity, if there are opportunities for you. Well, you are definitely in the right place. Today's session, again, doing business with the Army Corps of Engineers, they're a federal agency. So you will find out opportunities about them. The Ohio Business Matchmaker, again, I said we've been doing this for about 13 years. And this event, we're able to do it as a result of a wonderful partnership of collaborative partners. Some of those collaborative partners are the Ohio Small Business Development Centers, Ohio Development Services Agency, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, as well as the Ohio Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, or PTACs. And the PTACs are a wonderful partner that can work with U.S. small businesses in a variety of different capacities if you are interested in doing business with a government agency, if this is your first time. Now, we do have one of the PTAC counselors that is actually helping to facilitate the call today, Ms. Karen Wyville. And we want to ask Karen if she can share a little bit more about what the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, or PTACs, do, and then the services that they can provide to our small businesses. Karen?
I'd be happy to, Shonda.
Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. My name's Karen Wyville. I'm with the Procurement Technical Assistance Center in Cleveland, Ohio. For those of you unfamiliar with PTAC, we are a grant-funded entity whose purpose is to assist businesses who are interested in expanding their market footprint by selling their goods or services to government agencies at all levels of government, federal, state, and local. We help you with registrations, certifications. We help you find opportunities to bid on, help you do market research. Even once you get your contract, we can help you with any issues you have after that, like invoicing, so you get paid. We help with SBIR grants, anything that has to do with government, selling your goods or services to the government. We are here to do our best to assist you. And we are located all over the state of Ohio. And I'm going to put our Ohio website in the chat. And if anyone is ever interested, we are located, like I said, across the state. Back to you, Shonda.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Karen. So as you're listening to today's presentation, and maybe there's something that you're not familiar with, as it relates to the process of doing business with the government. Now, if you look in the chat, Karen just posted the website that you can go to visit to find out a PTAC counselor closest to you. So as you are listening to today's presentation, if there's some aspects of you beginning the process of your journey doing business with the government, please connect or find your local PTAC counselor and they can definitely assist you. I also want to bring to your attention all today's webinar and then the previous webinars that we've been doing are all posted on the Ohio Business Matchmaker site. So if you're able to visit ohiobusinessmatchmaker.com, you can access those, the former webinar presentations that we've done. And you can actually also access today's, maybe after I think 2 days, they're able to post today's presentation to that site as well. Well, without further ado, again, we want to welcome, we have a wonderful presenter today, Miss Benita Carroll. She is the Assistant Director for the Office of Small Business Programs in the Great Lakes and Ohio region, Ohio River region with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Ms. Carroll is very passionate about small businesses being able to maximize opportunities that will ensure that they're able to receive equitable opportunities and them competing for federal procurement. She brings with her a lot of experience, 15 years in both the public sector with the state of Ohio and local government. And then she also, and higher education. She has a master's in business administration and a bachelor's degree in accounting. So without further ado, we would like to welcome Miss Benita Carroll. Benita? You can unmute yourself, Benita.
My apologies.
That's
Can you hear me?
okay.
All
Yes,
right.
and if
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I very much appreciate it. And I would like to thank the SBA and the PTAC as being partners in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers pocket, so to speak, to help us work together collaboratively to ensure that small businesses receive the maximum profitable opportunity to compete for federal work. So today I will be sharing with you how to do business with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And just glancing over the quick agenda here, I'll just give a brief overview of the Corps for those that are not familiar with the Corps. Briefly talk about the USACE today, our mission and vision, what we procure, what we buy the top NAICS codes, how to do business with us via 10 takeaways. I'll talk about outreach engagements or events, provide points of contact, and answer any questions that you may have. And feel free to stop me at any point and I can address your question.
yes, and Benita, is it okay if they have questions, if they can type them in
Yes.
the chat and then I can ask the question?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Feel free to
Great.
stop me at any time and ask whatever you can. Be advised that I did provide Chandra the FY21 forecast of contract opportunities.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
you have all of the forecasted opportunities for the Great Lakes and Ohio River Division, which encompasses, I think, about 280 at this time. So it's still
Wonderful.
early in the fiscal year. So there are about 280 opportunities. Some are under the SAT, which is $250,000, and then there are some that are over or exceed $250,000. So let me get started in telling you all
Awesome.
about U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. The Corps of Engineers is older than the United States, believe it or not. Our history predates 1776. And in fact, the Continental Congress organized back in June of 1775. And then it was organized by an Army engineer and two assistants. And that Army engineer was George Washington. And in 1802, the Army established the Corps of Engineers and gave the engineers the responsibility basically for operating the what is now known as West Point. Today, USACE has over 37,000 employees. We are comprised of 9 divisions, 43 districts and centers, and do work in the United States and overseas, or OCONUS. There are 46 centers of expertise, and our missions are vast and include civil works, environmental emergency operations, flood and safety, occupational health missions, military missions, and sustainability. We are the nation's engineer. You see our mission and our vision. I won't read that to you. And for small business in particular, we work in tandem, of course, with the Corps of Engineers to ensure that we provide a pool, basically, of competent, technically capable firms, or a broad base of suppliers that are poised to help the Corps of Engineers execute our mission and strengthen the nation's economic development, basically to help us deliver the program. What do we procure? Not sure if all of you all are new entrants into the federal sector. Some of you may be in different stages, but this slide shows the NAICS codes, the top 5 NAICS codes from fiscal year 20 up into the current day. I reran this morning, 2021, to show by socioeconomic category what the top 5 NAICS codes are. So if you are in commercial and institution building construction, highway, street and bridge construction, other heavy and civil engineering, and so forth, if your specialty, or if you are skilled in one of these NAICS codes, and you have a designation or certification as a hub zone or a women-owned small business, these are the top 5 NAICS codes that the Corps of Engineers utilizes. Since I am the Assistant Director under the Great Lakes and Ohio River Division, these are the districts that fall under the Great Lakes and Ohio River Division. There are 7 districts. They include Buffalo, Chicago, Detroit, Huntington, West Virginia, Louisville, Kentucky, Nashville, Tennessee, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And as in the previous slide, you see the NAICS codes, the top 5 NAICS codes for each district. Louisville is our largest district. They do the lion's share of the work in the Great Lakes and Ohio River Division. They are not constrained geographically to the state of Kentucky, or even into our division footprint. The Louisville district does work all over the country. They build military installations, various things on various bases, and do a great deal of work across the country. So those are the NAICS codes with the applicable descriptions in the box to the right. Now, with those NAICS codes and keeping that in mind, here are some strategies on how to do business with the Corps of Engineers. First, ensure that your business is registered, that your information is accurate, and you can do the work. When I mean make sure your business is registered, you have to be registered in order to get paid by the federal government. And if you're not registered, you won't get paid. So the first step is to register at beta.sam.gov, which was formerly sam.gov, but it is beta.sam.gov. When you register, some of the information flows through to the SBA's Dynamic Small Business Search, or DSBS. And it is imperative that you have all of the keywords, all of the information that will promote or showcase you in your best light in that system. The certifications that you have, the keywords with respect to the work that you've done that dovetail with the NAICS codes. It's critical that that is in the DSBS, because the contracting officers, the program managers and contracting specialists utilize the DSBS in their market research to canvas the landscape, so to speak, and tap into industry to see what firms are out there that can possibly do the work. And if you don't have that information in your profile or in the SBA's DSBS, it's hard for us to know that you are even out there, unless some of the contracting officers and specialists do a lot of digging. And you don't want them to do a lot of digging, because you want to position yourself in the best way, because it is a competitive field out there, and you need to have your stuff together, so to speak. It is also critical that that information is reflected on your business card, your designations, of course, your cage code, your DUNS number. These types of things are critical and basically part of your game plan in order to do business with a federal agency. Capability statements are critical in interfacing with the government, with federal agency, with the Army Corps. Your capability statement should encompass cage code, your NAICS code, your DUNS number, and of course, those certifications that I referenced earlier, be it the women-owned small business, economically disadvantaged women-owned small business, service-disabled veteran-owned small business, and HUBZone. Second, familiarize yourself with the USA's district needs. I am the Assistant Director for the Great Lakes and Ohio River Division, and have indicated there were 7 districts that fall under our division. But as a division, I don't award contracts. The districts, the 7 districts, award the contracts. So it is imperative, and it would behoove you not to familiarize yourself with that district and what that district needs are. And you should have access to this this PowerPoint, and you can go back and reference those NAICS codes. You can engage with the decision makers via teleconference, phone call, and showcase your capabilities, and that will help to solidify your competitive advantage with other potential competitors. It's important that I know in this particular day and age with the pandemic, people really aren't going out and physically face-to-face meeting. So they're resorting to virtual events and conferences to interface with each other. And that is what we are employing now to keep you safe and to keep our team safe as well. You can pick up the phone and call and do a briefing or schedule a lunch and learn or some other virtual activity, or just email your information to the decision makers, the contracting officers, the program managers, and even the small business professional. Participate in virtual outreach engagements, as I referenced earlier. Respond to source of SOP notices. That is key, that is critical. When the contracting officer and the PM or the procurement, the team gets together to see what industry can do, what firms are out there in the universe, there's occasions that they may put out a source of SOT. The teleconferences, the outreach engagements are proactive measures, and source of SOT notices are proactive measures to get in front of a procurement. Because as you scan down here, I have five things. The other is to request a forecast of contract opportunities, which will be available to you via the SBA. But in our circles, it is apparent that if you scan beta.scam, which is formerly fbo.gov, and you scan that on a regular basis, it's too late. The decision makers should know what who's out there in the universe. If you wait until the requirement is advertised on beta.scam.gov, I'm not saying that your chances are slim, but I'll just say that they perhaps will not be as robust as if you were initiating some proactive steps to get in front of and put in. And so the contracting officers will be familiar or more familiar with you. The next, or number three, next, I say utilize your resources. You have the PTAC, the Women's Business Development Center, your SBA Business Opportunity Specialist, Procurement Center Representative, and Commercial Market Representative for large firms. There's also GSA, and you can also do your own research, your own due diligence in beta.sam via the Federal Procurement Data System, or FPDS reports. 4, educate yourself about the rules and regulations. You have to know the rules in order to play, so to speak. And the federal government has their rules and regulations, which includes the FAR, the Federal Acquisition Regulations. We're under the Department of Defense, so that's the Defense Federal Acquisition Regulation System, and we are being the Corps under the Army, so the AFARs. You should also know your rights under the SBA's SBREFA, the Small Business Regulatory Enforcement Fairness Act, which as a contractor or prospective contractor, you have rights. And if you feel as though something didn't go your way, or if you feel as though an agency didn't do something, or you were denied something, you are able to contact the SBA's advocacy office and exert your SBREFA rights. Next, I would have to recommend that you ensure that you take advantage and showcase your eligible certifications. I had mentioned that a little earlier, but if you don't tell or showcase the fact that you are a certified HubZone, certified women-owned small business, or an 8A or service-disabled veteran-owned business, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because sometimes there are opportunities that are set aside for these socioeconomic categories, and if you don't tout what you have, then it's kind of hard for you to better position yourself for a potential award. Next is to become a subcontractor. Monitor subnet. Prime contractors, there are some contracts that the prime contractor may have to secure provide a certain portion of work to a subcontractor. And that is stipulated in the contract. They have a subcontracting plan, and they have to have a subcontractor. If you feel as though you don't have enough experience and you really trying to navigate and get your foot in the federal sector door, this will be an ideal way for you to do that. subcontracting. You can establish a history, and that may lead to you being a prime contractor. So the SBA has the subnet.gov. The link is provided there, and you can peruse that website and see. Basically, it's a point linking subcontractors and prime contractors together. The prime contractors put their contracts out that they need subcontractors for, and perhaps linkages can be established that way. Next, in how to do business with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is to showcase that you have successfully completed projects on your capability statement. Just the fact that you have your cage code and you have your business and you have 3 pictures, but if you say, for instance, you did some work and you helped to construct with the construction of a specific building that may be by another federal agency or a state, a local government. Say, for instance, you build a bridge in the city of Columbus, or you constructed some other structure in Cleveland or someplace else. Don't be shy about it. If it's not federal work, that doesn't matter as long as it's work. A bridge is a bridge, no matter if it's in a city or over a national dam. Work is work, projects are projects. So showcase those on your capability statement. Next, when in doubt, don't be shy to ask a question. If you don't know something or if you're unsure about it, ask the question. Ideally, if something you know is going to be issued or to hit the street, as they say, ask before the solicitation hits the street. You can engage with the contracting officer or the small business professional prior to solicitation. Once that contract is out on the street, the small business professional cannot engage with you or help as your advocate. The contracting officer will have to engage with you. Sometimes if there are certain things, certain questions, the contracting officer may have to put that out for every, for the public to view. If, say, for instance, you did not, you feel as though that you were deserving of being awarded a contract and you were not, you were one of the, you were not one of the successful bidders, you can request a debriefing after contract award to see what specifically it was that perhaps it eliminated you from being the successful awardee. Another step or opportunity is to team, to perhaps formulate a joint venture or again, become a subcontractor to build your history or strengthen your competitive edge. And lastly, if applicable, this past year has been an unprecedented year because of the pandemic. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, worked and required or asked the Corps of Engineers to work with them on constructing some of the alternate care facilities around the country, or in specifically in our region in New York and Detroit and Chicago. So there's a great need. I encourage you to become familiar with the Disaster Response Registry. The link, the site is listed there, and then the Army Corps of Engineers missions or emergency operations. Next, another way to do business with us is to be proactive and participate in our outreach engagements. I know this is early in the fiscal year, but I do have several that, in fact, there are 2 that are happening today with our our Louisville district industry days. There are 2 major projects. You can see the title there, and they are virtual events, and they are targeting all socioeconomic categories. So An outreach event is a wonderful way to meet the key decision makers, the leadership, the deputy commanders, the contracting officers, program managers, and the small business professionals who are your advocates. And to allow those decision makers to put a name with a face. You can speak freely, you can speak with them on a one-on-one basis, and it is an excellent way to solidify and put your capabilities and your core competencies in front of the decision makers. So when that time rolls around, even though it may not be next week or tomorrow, it might be 6 months from now, but they can reference the fact that you physically or virtually interfaced with them and you were proactive in that regard. So that is another excellent way to work with the Corps of Engineers. Lastly, I have our points of contact. These reflect, on the most part, all of the districts. As I indicated, there were 7 districts. Buffalo and Pittsburgh have one small business professional, and the Chicago and Detroit also share a small business professional. Huntington, Louisville, and Nashville have their own individual small business professional. My information is there under the Great Lakes, and then the headquarters director information is located for your convenience as well. Are there any questions? That concludes my brief, and I'm ready to entertain any potential questions you may have.
Yes, we do have, thank you, one question. And while I'm asking this one particular question, if you have any questions, you can type them. Or if you feel comfortable, you can, once we finish this one, you can unmute your mic and ask Benita directly. This one is as it relates to the NAICS code. It says about the metal manufacturing NAICS codes. Will that fall in, I guess, can you go back to the slide that you put up your NAICS codes? That the Army
Let me go
Corps
back.
is, okay. And while she's looking for that,
Okay, let me put this up this way. Was it the one specific to the Corps overall or by district? Let's see.
I don't know. He's asking if the metal manufacturing NAICS code, does that fall in, I guess, one of the categories? And my mic was on mute and I wasn't able to ask.
Okay.
So maybe I think the initial slide where you had several NAICS codes that the Army Corps procures, I think it was early on.
Okay, now these are
a couple
the
slides after your mission or before.
Okay, these are the 2 slides that have the NAICS codes. This is the mission, and these are the top 5 NAICS codes by socioeconomic category.
Can you share that on your screen?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was sharing it.
That's okay. We all have to get used to.
Let's see.
And Katie, I do see your question.
Can you see it now?
No, not yet.
I may have to.
Karen,
can
you pull up her slides, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And we'll do it that way. See, we have a backup. There we go.
This,
Okay, this one. Let's see, David, if you want to unmute, can you unmute your mic so that I am asking the right question so that you get the answers that you're looking for? So David, you asked about the metal manufacturing NAICS code. And was that for this slide or for another slide?
I believe I have that in there. I thought.
Is it on another slide? Does she have to go? Let's see, is it on this one?
It's the fabricated structural metal manufacturing. I don't think I typed that out. I abbreviated, which is NAICS code 332312.
Okay.
That is
And you,
what we procure in the Great Lakes and Ohio River Division. I did not do like an analysis of or a breakdown by every division across the enterprise. So I'm not saying that we're the only division or the district wherever this fell that does this. I'm just speaking on what I do know. I do
Okay.
in the Huntington district. It's the 5th NAICS code in the Huntington district
Let's see.
column 2312, fabricated structural metal manufacturing. There are a lot of dams. We do, excuse this, the way it sounds, we do a lot of dam work in Huntington. And as a matter of fact, I think they are a center of have a center of expertise there in Huntington. And so there is some a need for fabricated structural metal manufacturing and some other projects that take place in the Huntington district.
Okay.
If that doesn't answer his question, feel free to email me and I'll do my best to answer. And then if you could please make available the forecast of contract opportunities.
Absolutely.
And he can see the full scope of all of the projects across the entire division.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay, David, yes, let us know if that answered. He wanted to know if metal manufacturing fell under that fabricated structural metal manufacturing NAICS code. So David, if you can type in the chat, if that answered your question. You may also be able to go on to, where do you find the NAICS codes, Karen?
You can Google, he could even, there is a site, the NAICS.
Yeah.
I have to look the exact.
And I should know it.
But even if he puts that NAICS code, or if he just Googles, he can put in that NAICS code in Google and it'll come up and show related NAICS codes as well.
Karen, where do small companies, and I should know it, I just can't think of it right now. Where do you,
all of the NAICS codes.
Where do you find the NAICS codes? Karen is not helping me. Can one of the PTAC counselors on census.gov, I should know that.
yep, sorry.
If you go to census.gov, if you go to census.gov and click on NAICS codes, you can pull up that manufacturing NAICS, the 332312, and then it will give you a list of all of the subcategories that fall under that NAICS code. Sometimes the NAICS are pretty broad and they cover, you know, different subsets. So if you go to census.gov and click and type in that NAICS code, it will pull it up and it will list all of the different subcategories that roll underneath that NAICS. And then you can always work with your PTAC counselor as well to get more information about a specific subset of a NAICS code. A great question. I hope that answered your question, David. We do have a few more questions here. How does the Army Corps of Engineers work align with the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District This person is curious as to how the work is divided up between the two agencies.
I'm not familiar with the Northeast Sewer District. What I can do is, if that is that in the Cleveland area? Karen, are you familiar?
I am, yes. They cover multiple counties here in northeastern Ohio.
Okay, we have one of our district small business professionals who is responsible for the Cleveland area. Actually, I believe that would be that footprint, the Cleveland's geographic footprint falls under our Buffalo district. So the small business professional there, Ms. Polanski, would be better able to know how the two intertwine and work together. There are several projects that the Corps of Engineers will do, as I indicated, partner with state and local governments. And if, there's a need for something to be constructed or built, it would fall under that Buffalo district. I am the former deputy for small business for Chicago and in Detroit, and I do recall that since Chicago is somewhat physically close to what it is, it's in the Indiana area footprint. There are several sewer districts and other projects that were done that fell under the Chicago district that were actually, the work was actually performed in the state of Indiana, Gary, Indiana, other parts of Indiana. So I am of the belief that the same would hold true for the Northeast Ohio, the sewer district, that if there's work to be done, I can put you in touch with the small business professional in the Cleveland area. Does that answer your question, or is there something else that I can better help to address?
Yes, it does. Katie said, thank you. Yes, that does answer it. Thank you. Great question. Another question. Is there a district primarily just for Ohio? Is there an Army Corps district that just covers kind of Ohio?
Well, the districts that there's some overlap. There are certain segments, and I apologize that I did not provide a map. I deleted the slide that has the map. We have updated our map. As a matter of fact, the map was, the boundary lines have changed for the Chicago district. And on that handout, Chandra, that I sent you, that the PDF that has our FY21 forecast of contract opportunities, if you can provide that to this person, on the reverse side or the back page is our new map. Now, the districts that overlap for the state of Ohio include Louisville and Huntington, West Virginia, and Buffalo, because Buffalo is responsible for the northeastern portion of the state of Ohio, which encompasses Cleveland. Louisville is responsible for some of the central and southern portions of Ohio that even include Dayton, Ohio, the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base area, and in and around Cincinnati. And Huntington does include some southeastern parts of Ohio. So there are 3 districts that touch or have touch points in the state of Ohio.
Okay, thank you. Now that updated map, I think you said is on the forecast of opportunities.
The PDF that I sent you, it's a 40-page document.
Okay,
It has a front and a back cover. The back cover, the last page, shows our map and the boundary, our new map. As a matter of fact, I had a final version of that forecast, and it was brought to my attention where the Corps, they had just this fall, had just recently updated changed the boundary lines. And
okay,
so I had to take the map off the back cover. It doesn't look, like I wanted it, but it has the correct information. And it's best that people have the correct information about our new boundary lines.
okay. And now, if you have a slide also of the updated map, could you add
No, I
it?
did not. I did
Okay,
not
got you.
share because it just happened. And to be honest, I don't think because it was so large, I
Okay,
have to scrunch it, um, tweak it to make it fit on the slide. I could do that, but I don't think they've had the chance to really
okay.
to enhance it to make it visible to even put on a slide. I apologize, but
No,
if somebody wants to, it's on that last page of the handout. If you
okay,
contact them directly, I can see if I can find another way to send it to you.
okay. I think that should be good. So again, the updated map is on the last slide of the 40
The last
page,
page,
the last
of that
page,
document. Yes,
the
of that
last page
document.
of the forecast of opportunities that they have. And Kent said, as you were describing the area that the map covers, he said it sounds like Northwest Ohio may be left out, and maybe it's Chicago.
I I don't think it would Northwest Ohio. I don't think would be uh, Chicago. Let me see if I could. I think the boundaries would stop in Indiana, and if
Okay,
there's other areas, it might be Louisville. Uh, I'm going to see if I can pull up another document here.
okay. He
And
also typed in Detroit.
I'm pulling up, I'm pulling up the cast of opportunities and referencing the map on the last page right now myself. So I can
Oh, okay,
have, because as I indicated, it changed. I had to modify, I had to stop. I'm gonna say that it wasn't printed, but it had been prepared and submitted for dissemination, and I had to pull it back. Okay, for Ohio, the touch points include Louisville District, Huntington District, and Pittsburgh District and Buffalo District. So for
Mm,
Northwest Ohio, it would be um, either Louisville or Buffalo. I don't see, I think the Chicago district stopped short.
okay.
And do you have the ability to provide that PDF to them?
Yes, and you already sent it to us.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
I sent it to you. Yes.
Yes, in fact, Karen, if you're able to access it, we do have enough time. If you're able to pull that up, we do have another question. So maybe while I'm asking that question, if you're able to access the slide, the presentation, the 40
I'm,
page
I'm gonna take
forecast
a
that
look.
Benita sent.
I'm gonna take a look and see if I got it here.
Okay. And while she's doing that, there is another question I can ask.
You know what?
This,
I'm sorry, may I interrupt? When
oh,
with the Buffalo district, I referenced the Buffalo district. Now on the border, because Detroit is in close proximity to Toledo. It seems as though I can't really
Mhm.
tell because this is part of the extension of the boundaries. Toledo, Ohio may actually, because it's right on the border, Toledo may fall into the Detroit district.
Okay. There's the map right there. Okay, so I see Buffalo, I see Detroit, see Chicago. Okay, there's Ohio. So is it? He said it looks like, yeah, it does look like it's Buffalo, the top
The northwestern portion, quadrant.
northwestern portion. Looks like it's maybe in the Buffalo district.
Yeah, it does
But
look like Buffalo to me.
Yeah.
yes, and then, but it seems as though Toledo is just right over in the lavender shaded area, which is the Detroit district. So
Okay.
it's not, it doesn't, it's on the boundary of Buffalo and Detroit. If you could see the Buffalo is shaded like an orange, a pastel orange color, and the Detroit district is shaded lavender, and
I see.
it falls right
Yeah,
on the boundary.
Toledo's right on the border. I see it.
Mhm.
Yeah, that falls under the Detroit district. So
Wow.
And in Northeast Ohio too, it looks like along the lake shore.
Yes.
Buffalo, but a good chunk, a major chunk of Northeast Ohio is Pittsburgh.
Hmm.
yes,
That does help.
so this is not a great map. It does not compare to a map that I previously used, but it just happened around the change of the fiscal year. Probably maybe a month ago, and so I don't think there's been adequate time to pretty up a map, so to speak. And this is the information I had to use, and I couldn't use my previous map. So this is what I have. Any other questions about this? Hello?
Did we lose Shonda?
It appears I do not see her.
All right. Looks like we did. I know she said at times she's had some problems with her internet, so we want to give it a couple more seconds here.
Sure.
She's gonna call in. I just saw in the chat.
Okay, I don't know if there's any other questions.
If anyone has any other questions, please put it in the chat while we wait for Shonda to join us for her parting wisdom. Here we go. Here's one. Our NAICS codes are fairly specific to dealers, wholesalers. I only see one code for our district that applies. Okay, so I think that we've answered that in the map.
Okay, these are the top NAICS. Now, I only included 5. So your NAICS code of interest may be number 7. I'm not sure. So don't be discouraged because I only put the top 5, noting that a lion's share of work or dollars were awarded under that NAICS code. Oftentimes, a lot of contracts are awarded in the fourth quarter, right before the close of the fiscal year. So things are very, very hectic. And sometimes I think even this particular past fiscal year, the past 2 fiscal years, more contracts are awarded in the fourth quarter than they are of all the previous 3 quarters. So if you look at the forecast of opportunities and you see something, and this is just a forecast, when you get to the third quarter, you may want to start calling the contracting officer to see if there's some other opportunities that may present themselves in the fourth quarter, because they have to spend money or things have happened. There might be a change in funding, and there's money available, and there are projects that have to be done, and those don't present themselves into the fourth quarter.
That's a great question. I think they just added to it. Should we be reaching out to Louisville since they have a larger area that they cover?
Yes,
Is there a more comprehensive list available?
a comprehensive list of opportunities.
Yes.
Well, if you get a hold of this forecast, Louisville has most of the opportunities in the book and the handout. There are over 280, and mind you, this is a forecast. This is what we know at this point in time. Louisville has several pages. I believe they have about, I don't know, close to 100 or at least 85, 80 to 80, 85 of the opportunities in the handout. So, and some of those opportunities, depending on what you are comfortable with, some are, I had it, the handout or the forecast is divided by opportunities that are above the SAT or above $250,000. And then there's some at the back of the book or the handout, excuse me, that are under $250,000.
Okay.
The lion's share Louisville does provide, and I don't believe they have, unless there were a few task orders, that they have any contracts that are listed under $250,000. So yes, Louisville does do a lion's share of the work in our division. They do work all over the country, and they have the most opportunities that are in this forecast.
Okay, great. I will, Anna said, thank you, who asked the question. I'll break down just a couple of things that kind of Benita said, because just like she said at the beginning, we don't know, as far as our audience, everybody that's on, there are probably some individuals that are new to government contracting, doing business with the government. And so a lot of times we may talk, and you may not be familiar. So with the forecast that she's mentioning, agencies do, not just federal agencies, but state government, city government will do forecasts where they will predict what they are anticipating on purchasing or procuring for that fiscal year. And so with the federal government, our fiscal year just actually started in October. The federal fiscal year runs from October to September. And so the federal fiscal year just began. And so the handout that she's referring to, someone asked, actually, she sent us, Karen and myself. And so we'll forward that to the participants here today. So that forecast has those opportunities. And then typically what agencies will do is they will post that forecast for that fiscal year on their website. Now, sometimes it may take a few months, because we typically, when we get into the new fiscal year in October, it usually takes us a couple months to kind of close out the previous fiscal year, the report numbers, we have to wrap up things. And so typically maybe around January or so, you may find that forecast. So I'm glad that Ms. Carroll does have that in a PDF document that we can send out to you. But going forward, maybe around January, you should see that forecast posted to their website, as well as other federal agencies if you want to look as to what they're looking to purchase. And as far as the Ms. Carroll had mentioned the SAT, Simplified Acquisition. So as a small business, if you want to engage and do business with a federal agency, the Simplified Acquisition is a dollar threshold. So once you get above 250,000, that's the Simplified Acquisition threshold, is 250,000. And so once you start getting into procurements or requirements that are at that level of 250,000 and above, agencies have to start setting aside purchases for small businesses, for 8A, for HubZone, for woman-owned. And so those, that's what we call the SAT, Simplified Acquisition. Anything below the SAT, sometimes those procurements may or may not be posted because they're a smaller dollar amount. It just kind of depends. So just kind of a breakdown if some of you were wondering what that terminology meant. Do we have any additional questions? We will be sending out the, I'll probably send out the handout to the participants that are on today so that you will have that. Yeah, somebody said that will be helpful.
And if anybody has any questions, I don't know if you're going to provide the slides as well. Contact information is on the last slide under points of contact. And I do believe that some of the districts may have the forecast. I think Louisville and perhaps maybe Huntington and Pittsburgh may already have the forecast on their websites. I have not put it on the division website. That's something that I have to do. And you reference, I need some more time to do that. But keep in mind, it is a fluid document. And I think prior to you, there was a gap there in the fourth quarter. I was referencing 3/4 of the contract awards take place in the fourth quarter.
Wow.
There are more contracts that are awarded in the fourth quarter than there are the entire fiscal year. And
Well, the small business
down trying to spend that money.
Right.
The $250,000 looking to do business, will they get a copy of those?
Could you repeat your question, Richard?
Yeah, so the contractors that are looking to do business that are under $250,000, will we get a list of the same thing of like what you're talking about, or the probable money to be spent?
It's in this book. It's in the handout. It's in the forecast. It's already in there. When you look
Okay.
at the table of contents, you'll see each district will have a couple of pages of
Okay.
the opportunities, and those are above. But there is a section in the forecast that is specifically slated for opportunities that are $250,000 and under, and it's broken down by quarter, and it's identified by district. It's not structured or physically laid out the same way. The information is there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good question. And I think, Benita, you made a great point that those forecasts are not written in stone. And so it is fluid, it does change. So it's just that, a forecast, where they're basically predicting that this is what they are anticipating on buying, but that can definitely be impacted by what goes on with our government, what goes on with the spending of that agency, the dollars. Maybe they received money at the beginning of the year, but something happened, those dollars were held up. So again, that's another good, a good indication. You can work with your PTAC counselors to help you kind of navigate those forecasts and to help you research those opportunities with that agency. And Benita, in the forecast, does it have points of contact for the different regions for
Yes.
those? Great.
Yeah, for each district, the points of contact are there. As a matter of fact, what was presented on the slide deck, the same information. So it is physically there, as well as the outreach engagements. I think there's more that are located on or included on the in the forecast than what I could fit on the slide. The engagement, I will say, are a little sketchy at best. That's the way I could say it because of COVID. And then even as we have had, a couple of challenges here, we have had some challenges, and I'm going to be honest, in trying to navigate how to virtually interface with industry based on the platforms, the different platforms that are utilized, because the government can't, there's certain things that we utilize, we can't really utilize certain platforms. And so trying to ensure that there's some sort of linkages between federal agencies and the contractor and federal government, it's been a little hard to navigate, but we're getting there. We're trying to transition into better using Microsoft Teams in order to interface, as opposed to what we previously did with Microsoft Skype for Business.
Thank you. Yes, it has taken federal agencies some time to kind of adapt and adjust to everything that's going on with COVID and utilizing the various technology platforms. And sometimes the agencies may have some challenges as it relates to the technology. And so we do appreciate that. I believe if there are not any more questions, if you do have questions, you can type those in. And while we're doing that, I'll say some kind of closing remarks about again, we just want to thank Ms. Benita Carroll for that wonderful presentation. I always love I didn't realize that the Army Corps was that old as far as they being established before us as a country in 1775. So that was very interesting to find out. We look forward to sending that information out to you. So if you're interested in doing business with them, please look at the handout, please look at the slides. And again, if you're not, if you're unfamiliar, if you need help with your capability statement so that you can follow up with one of those procurements that you may be interested in, please work with the PTAC counselors on that. Now, as we are continuing, this is the last week that we will be having webinars before the actual Matchmaker event. So again, today's webinar, I believe, will be posted in about a day or two to the Ohio Business Matchmaker site, the audio and the recording. Today at 2 p.m., we will have the webinar, Doing Business with the State of Ohio. So if you're interested in that, Doing Business with the State of Ohio is at 2. Thursday, November 12th at 10 a.m. They'll be Doing Business with Prime Contractors. It'll be a panel discussion. And then at 2 p.m., there'll be a panel discussion, Small Business Subcontracting panel discussion. I'll be facilitating that at 2 p.m. And then our last webinars will be on Friday the 13th at 10 o'clock, Doing Business with Boeing. And then at 2 p.m., it will be a webinar with an attorney talking about teaming and joint venturing, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So there'll be an attorney that will be presenting for that at 2 p.m. on the 13th. So if you're interested in any of the webinars, please visit ohiobusinessmatchmaker.com. And at the very top, you can click on the registration for the webinars. Then also, if you're interested in participating in the actual Matchmaker event, which will take place on Tuesday, November 17th, and Wednesday, November 18th, you can click on the registration tab at the very top of the page for the actual event. Now, the matchmaker is just $35 this year. In times past, when we prior to COVID, we met face-to-face in Dayton at the Nutter Center, and the registration was just a little bit more. But this year, we do try to make it economical and feasible for you as small businesses to still participate. So $35, registration is still open. What happens is when you register, you will register with the NAICS codes that you provide as a small business. And then the agencies will register, just like Benita showed the NAICS codes that they are looking for, that they purchase in. The agencies will register with their NAICS. And so what will happen, there will be a match. So whatever matches there are of the agencies with the NAICS codes that you provide, there'll be a list. And so the list of those matches that will be provided to you, I believe, a few days before the matchmaker event. And so you can actually schedule sessions with the agencies that will be there, a one-on-one, like 10-minute session where you can pitch your capability statement. There will also be times, unscheduled sessions that you can set up with those agencies as well. So we definitely want you to take advantage of that. I believe comments just saying it was a very great presentation today, very informative. Thank you, Benita, Carol, and it was very enlightening. And I believe that that is it for today. Again, thank you so much, Benita, for that, all the information that you provided. Thank you so much, Karen, for actually facilitating everything behind the scene. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We do appreciate your time. We hope that you can join us for the rest of the webinars that we have slated for the rest of this week. They should be some great sessions. And then definitely the following week, we do want you to join us for the actual matchmaker on November 17th and 18th. Everybody have a wonderful day. Enjoy your week. And we look forward to seeing you next week at the matchmaker. Thanks so much for your time. Goodbye.
Thank you.